Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Dakbo Adigboyi, and here are stories making headlines beyond the continent. We begin with the latest happenings in the war between Israel and Hamas. We are Palestinians living in Israel are in fear of losing their right to worship at the Al-Aqsa. Israel's police barred hundreds of worshippers from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem as the Muslim holiday month of Ramadan began. Now, police denied entry to many Palestinian men for the first night of Ramadan prayers. Meanwhile, Jordan's foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, warned on Monday that restrictions imposed by Israel on Muslim worshippers' access to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound were punishing the situation towards an explosion. Earlier, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said Israel would allow access to Al-Aqsa as it had in previous years, when nearly everyone was allowed at least for the first week. Let's also tell you that a Spanish charity ship taking 200 tons of humanitarian food aid to war-ravaged Gaza has set sail from the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, aiming to pioneer a maritime corridor. According to Cyprus Foreign Minister Konstantinos Kumbos, a second vessel is being loaded to make a same journey to help besieged Palestinians. Kumbos, speaking later in Beirut, said the team is working towards the safe arrival of the first shipment and then the safe distribution. Now, earlier, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who days ago announced the initiative on the Cyprus visit, hailed it as a sign of hope.
Take it a step at a time. At this stage, we are working towards the safe arrival of the first shipment and then the safe distribution. If all goes according to plan, as I already said, we have already put in place the mechanism for a second and much bigger cargo, and then we'll be working towards making this a more systematic exercise with increased volumes. In relation to the humanitarian corridor, this is an initiative that has been intended to try and help the people in Gaza, and today we had the first departure of a vessel from Cyprus. If things go according to plan, we are hoping that we will be complementing and adding to the capacity of the international community to try and meet the consequences of this humanitarian catastrophe.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Humanitarian Agency says the transportation of aid via the sea is not a substitute for overland transport of food and other emergency aid into Gaza, and particularly north of Gaza. The agency spokesperson who stated that the initiative has welcomed development, noted that there is a need for overland access and the safe, secure and regular delivery within Gaza as well.
Which is the UN has not been involved in the planning or the execution of this. I can see the World Central Kitchen, which is a reputable NGO, a very big one actually, who's been working with us in Rafah, for example. So it's not somebody who's unknown to us. But they are tweeting, indeed, their head has the boss has just tweeted out that the ship has left Larnaca and is on its way. What's important for us to stress again and again, and sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it's not a substitute for the overland transport of food and other emergency aid into Gaza and particularly northern Gaza. It cannot make up for that. So, make no mistake, it is welcome, but we need the overland access and the safe and secure and regular delivery within Gaza.
Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari told a news conference in Doha that Israel and Hamas are not close to a deal on a cessation of hostilities in Gaza and releasing hostages.
How they look at it?
I can't offer any timeline, sadly, at the moment. The situation is very complicated on the ground. We are not near a deal, meaning that we are not seeing both sides converging on a language that can resolve the current disagreements over the implementation of the deal. But we remain hopeful, and we continue pushing for a deal to happen in the near future. Thank you, Callum. As I was just saying, we were all hoping that the people of Gaza can receive the holy month of Ramadan with some notion of peace, some notion of normalcy, and sadly that did not happen. All of us were pushing towards that happening before the beginning of Ramadan. However, that did not deter us from continuing the work and the negotiations to reach a deal, hopefully within the confines of Ramadan. When it comes
About 125,000 Israelis have been evacuated from their home since the start of the war. Among them are residents of Israel's north and south, who were directed to relocate to their safety since October 7th. The evacuation operations are under security cohesion in communities located 4 to 7 kilometers from the border and the city of Sderot. The second stage of evacuations was also under immediate military cohesion, and they include settlements within 0 to 2 kilometers in the north, the city of Kairat, Shimona, and 14 other settlements in the north, all included in the government's plans.
Israeli civilian living in the northern part of Israel, I and my family, like approximately 80,000 Israelis, were evacuated from our homes. We are living now in the last 5.5 months in hotels. Thanks God we have a hot shower and we have food, but we are not living in our homes because Hezbollah, another terrorist organization, decided to join a war that he wasn't a part of it. Hamas opened a war against Israel. This is a problem between Israel and Hamas. Why Hezbollah is being a part of it? The answer is, of course, because they are a part of the Shiite axis. Unfortunately, many of our population is not living in our homes. My children is not learning in their schools, and we don't know when we are going back, but we are strong and we support our country, and I'm sure that we will soon go back to our...
Let's now head to the Caribbean, where Haiti's Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, has agreed to step aside as armed gangs plunge his country into anarchy. According to accepting a regional push for transition that sets the stage for international intervention, Caribbean nations secured Henry's resignation at an emergency meeting in Jamaica, where U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken offered another $100 million to pave the way for the security force, which will be led by Kenya. Gangs have taken over much of the country, and in recent weeks, the crisis has grown even more violent, with bodies strewn across the streets and armed bandits looting basic infrastructure, and also fears raising of the famine. Now, gang leaders had demanded the departure of Henry, who had remained in power since 2021 when the Haiti's president was assassinated. Haiti has not held an election since 2016.
Le gouvernement dirigé après conseil des ministres assoyé accepté pour mettre en place un conseil présidentiel de transition. Membre conseil sa yo pral choisi après une entente entre différents secteurs de la vie nationale. Le gouvernement que m'a dirigé a retiré col immédiatement après installation conseil ça. Il a continué expédier affaires courantes jusqu'à ce que vous désigniez un premier ministre et un gouvernement. Haïti besoin de la paix. Haïti besoin de stabilité. Haïti besoin d'un développement durable. Haïti besoin de rebâtir institutions démocratiques.
Joining me at the moment to give a bit more insight to this story is our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Thank you for your time. Now, how has Haiti ended up in this desperate situation?
In a desperate situation, it is indeed. Now, Haiti, which is home to about 11 million people, is on the same island as the Dominican Republic, and that is a nation that is one of the richest in the Caribbean, and Haiti is one of the poorest in the Caribbean. Now, it has been victim to natural disasters, poor government, dictatorship, and that is why it is in the place that it is now. You had that huge earthquake there in 2010 that killed 200,000 people, and it's never really recovered from that natural disaster. I mean, you've had UN peacekeeping force in place in Haiti from 2004, and they only left in 2017. So poor governance, natural disasters, instability, chronic instability has brought Haiti pretty much to its knees. Now, its president was shot by unknown gunmen in 2021, and that's where Ariel Henry stepped in as the interim leader. Now, it was thought that he was, like I said, would be in the interim and would lead to an election happening. And people on the island have been calling for an election since the shooting of their previous president in 2021, but that has yet to happen. But now that hand has been forced. But you're now at a point where Haiti is almost on the brink of famine. You have 80% of the people in the country are suffering from food insecurity. People are trying to leave, people are trying to get out of Haiti. You know, you have the US embassy managed to get out all their non-essential staff. It's a very, very dangerous situation on the ground at the moment.
Now, the Prime Minister has been out of the country trying to improve the country's place on the international stage. What exactly would you consider his mission out there?
Well, yes, Ariel Henry was trying to get this peacekeeping force, which would be led by 2,000 Kenyan policemen. A bit of a strange request when Kenya has its own security problems and not enough police officers for the population that they have. That they have offered this support of policemen and security to Haiti. So he was out of the country working on that deal, and he was meeting with the CARICOM leaders. Those are the leaders of the Caribbean nations, including Jamaica, and they were meeting to decide what should happen in Haiti. And it was decided that actually Ariel Henry staying on was contributing to the instability on the island. So he was asked to resign. He decided he would do that at the end of last week. And then that announcement came today. Now, Antony Blinken has pledged about $100 million towards improving security on the island. That's in the form of peacekeepers and this police force that will be led by Kenyan police. Now, Ariel Henry wanted to return to Haiti, but the CARICOM leaders thought that his returning back to the island would contribute to that instability. So his plane couldn't land, and he's currently in Puerto Rico at the moment.
I mean, looking at the current situation there, gang violence, taking place virtually almost everywhere across the country, and also the Prime Minister right now, resigning. This appears to be a state that is ruthless. And from political analysis, one would almost describe it as almost a failed state. Where do you think the country goes from here?
And I couldn't agree with you more that Haiti is on the way to becoming a failed state at the moment. What the people want is for there to be an election, but there has to be security for that election to be implemented. There's going to be an interim council put in place to take Haiti on that transition to an election. Anyone who wants to stand in the election cannot be part of that interim council. But these kind of actions always create a vacuum of power. And to fill that vacuum of power, you have a powerful Haitian gang leader by the name of Jimmy Cherizier. And he has been out on the streets of Port-au-Prince calling for the international community to, as he says, in his own words, give Haiti a chance. He said in a speech to journalists, which he was brandishing a pistol, which he fired 3 times, he said, "Today we are taking the occasion to tell the international community to give Haiti a chance. Because what's happening in Haiti now, we Haitians have to decide who is going to lead the country and what model of government we want. We're going to figure out how to get Haiti out of the misery it's in now." Now, that power vacuum is dangerous if you have Haiti's most powerful gang leader filling that power vacuum. And what Haiti really needs is security. Perhaps that £100 million that the US has pledged will contribute towards that security and that stability, whether it's the Kenyan police force or not leading that. But that's what's really important, is to get some stability on the ground to pave the way for an election.
Just before I let you go, what do you think in terms of boots on the ground? How do you think the international community can actually come in to restore law and order, and also a system of government that works in tandem with the plights of the people?
Well, it's a very big ask. This is a country that has had chronic instability, a UN peacekeeping force there from 2004 to 2017 couldn't keep away that chronic instability. You have a president who was assassinated, and elections haven't taken place since. It's been 3 years. And so it's going to be very difficult. But if you have this sort of police pseudo-army force that are coming in from across the world to try and put that instability in place, and £100 million is a heck of a lot of money, perhaps that will do the job, but it has to be done in tandem with the Haitian people, because like I said, when you have no power, it creates a vacuum, and this vacuum will be filled by the wrong people, and that's not what you want. I think it is a tall ask, a very tall ask, to try and get Haiti back to a point where it's calm and where it's stable and where an election can happen. But hopefully this peacekeeping force, like I said, led by these Kenyan police officers, is a step forward.
Thank you for your time, Afia. In the meantime, the World Food Programme country director in Haiti, Jean-Martin Bauer, has warned of an immediate food crisis following the spiraling case of gang violence in the impoverished Caribbean nation. Now, he made this known during a video press conference at the United Nations. He added that he hopes that there will be an improvement in terms of security after Haiti's Prime Minister announced he would step aside.
Over the past few days has me very worried, and I'm ringing the alarm bell, because you have this baseline level of hunger that's already very high, and this is worsening things even more. So what we're seeing is an increase in violence. We're seeing an increase in population displacement, with 15,000 newly displaced people over the first weekend of March, bringing the total number of displaced people in Haiti to above 360,000. We're also seeing an interruption in the flow of goods. And this has huge impacts on food markets in Port-au-Prince. The main roads to Port-au-Prince are controlled by armed groups. The port was disrupted by armed groups last week and is still not operational. That means food can't come into Port-au-Prince by road or by sea. And of course, air service, flights to Port-au-Prince have been disrupted. They've also been disrupted to the rest of.
We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we have more stories. Stay with us. The news continues in Europe, where Romania's President Klaus Iohannis on Tuesday announced his candidacy to succeed Jens Stoltenberg as chief of NATO, vowing a renewal of perspective at a crucial time for the alliance. For the past 2 years, the Western Defense Alliance has navigated a challenging security environment in the face of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte is largely believed to be the frontrunner to lead the alliance and replace Stoltenberg, after the United States, Britain, and Germany expressed support for his potential candidacy. A successor for the former leader, the former Norwegian Prime Minister, who has overseen NATO for a decade, is expected to be announced before a July summit in Washington.
Să intru în competiție pentru funcția de secretar general al NATO. Îmi asum această candidatură în numele României, cu toată responsabilitatea. Iar această decizie are la bază performanța României, experiența acumulată pe parcursul celor 2 mandate de președinte.
The mayor of Russian city of Belgorod says 4 persons were injured after a Ukrainian drone struck the city hall. The strike came amidst a wave of attacks on Russia's border regions and an announcement by Moscow that it had foiled multiple attempted cross-border raids by pro-Ukrainian paramilitaries.
Двое сотрудников администрации Белгорода находятся в больнице, госпитализированы. Состояние одной женщины оценивается как тяжелое. Она получила осколочное ранение головы, грудной клетки, конечностей. Но, тем не менее, оказывается вся необходимая медицинская помощь, она под наблюдением. У второй женщины осколочные ранения головы и состояние оценивается как средней тяжести. Тоже вся необходимая помощь оказана. Еще две наших девушки получили незначительные ранения.
Let's also tell you that authorities in France say the search has continued for two children who went missing in the southern part of the country following the weekend floods that killed 5 persons. Commander of the Alps Gendarmerie Company, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Sulau, explained that a search force of around 100 personnel led by the Gendarmerie with technical support, notably from the fire department, has been deployed to the site.
La situation aujourd'hui, c'est que c'est le 3e jour de recherche depuis la disparition des personnes pour lesquelles nous essayons de retrouver la trace. Donc en l'occurrence, hier, il y a eu la découverte d'une des 3 personnes et nous sommes donc toujours dans les opérations de recherche, à la fois par la voie terrestre, par la voie aquatique et par la voie aérienne, donc de manière à avoir vraiment une vue globale sur l'ensemble des points où les personnes pourraient être retenues. Donc
In South America, President Nicolas Maduro says he will wait until the United Socialist Party of Venezuela's assembly on March 15th to formally announce his nomination as the presidential candidate for the ruling party. The 61-year-old would be seeking a third consecutive 6-year term, with his political opposition all but kneenapped. Now, the millions of Venezuelans have fled their economic crisis, marked by runaway inflation and crucial shortages, as an oil boom went bust partly due to a plunge in global crude oil prices.
Asambleas que se hicieron en Venezuela entre el jueves, viernes y sábado, y más de 4.200.000 militantes de base han postulado mi nombre para las elecciones del 28 de julio. No puedo pronunciarme. Esperaré hasta el gran congreso del viernes para ver qué respondo a la postulación. Esperen ustedes el próximo capítulo por este mismo canal. Pues.
Humildemente y valientemente.
And that's a wrap on the news at this time. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live across these platforms. That's DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dakwo at Digboy.